John Quincy Adams, the sixth President of the United States, was a statesman, diplomat, and scholar whose life spanned key moments in American history. Born on July 11, 1767, in Braintree, Massachusetts, now Quincy, he was the son of John Adams, the second President of the United States, and Abigail Adams. This distinguished lineage placed him at the heart of the nation's early political and diplomatic life, shaping his career and influence. John Quincy Adams's early life was marked by his unique position as the son of a founding father. As a young boy, he accompanied his father to Europe during the American Revolution, where John Adams served as a diplomat. This experience exposed young John Quincy to international affairs and European culture, laying the groundwork for his future diplomatic career. He was educated in Europe and the United States, attending prestigious schools, and later graduating from Harvard College in 1787, where he developed an interest in law, languages, and political philosophy. Adams's career in public service began early, largely due to his father's influence. By the time he was in his 20s, he had already begun serving in diplomatic roles. His first major appointment came in 1794, when President George Washington appointed him U.S. Minister to the Netherlands. This began a long and successful career in diplomacy, including posts as U.S. Minister to Prussia, Russia, and the United Kingdom. During his time as a diplomat, Adams made significant contributions to the development of U.S. foreign policy. As Minister to Russia under President James Madison, he played an important role in negotiating the Treaty of Ghent, which ended the War of 1812 between the United States and Great Britain. He also worked on key issues like the transatlantic slave trade, the expansion of U.S. territory, and the promotion of American interests abroad. In 1817, President James Monroe appointed Adams as Secretary of State, a position that would define much of his legacy. Adams's tenure as Secretary of State was marked by the crafting of policies that laid the foundation for the future expansion and security of the United States. Among his most notable achievements were the negotiation of the Adams-Onís Treaty, 1819, in which Spain ceded Florida to the U.S., and his role in the formulation of the Monroe Doctrine, 1823, which declared that European powers should no longer interfere in the Americas. John Quincy Adams became the sixth President of the United States in 1825 after a contentious election. The 1824 election had seen no candidate win a majority in the Electoral College, and the decision went to the House of Representatives. In what became known as the corrupt bargain, Adams was chosen over Andrew Jackson, despite Jackson having won the popular vote and the most electoral votes. This controversial outcome fueled political divisions and contributed to the rise of Jacksonian democracy. Adams's presidency, 1825 to 1829, was marked by a focus on internal improvements, education, and scientific progress. He supported infrastructure projects such as the construction of roads, canals, and a national university, believing that a strong nation required a well-educated and well-connected populace. However, his policies were often thwarted by political opposition, particularly from Jacksonian Democrats who favored a more populist, limited government approach. Adams's vision of a strong, centralized government and his advocacy for federal spending on internal improvements faced resistance, especially from southern and western states. Although his presidency was not marked by major legislative victories, Adams did champion the idea of a national university and scientific exploration. He promoted the establishment of a national observatory and a central institution for learning, which he believed would advance the nation's intellectual and cultural development. After losing the 1828 election to Andrew Jackson, Adams retired to his home in Quincy, Massachusetts, But his political career was far from over. In 1830, he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he served for the next 17 years. During this time, Adams became one of the most vocal opponents of slavery in the United States. He strongly opposed the annexation of Texas, which he saw as an attempt to expand slavery, and he was an early and consistent advocate for the abolition of slavery in the territories. Adams's time in the House of Representatives was marked by his tireless efforts to defend freedom of speech and the right of petition. In 1836, he famously led the fight against the gag rule, which sought to prevent anti-slavery petitions from being debated in Congress. Adams's unflinching commitment to human rights, particularly his fight against slavery, solidified his place as one of the most principled figures in American political history. In addition to his work on slavery, Adams was an advocate for Native American rights and supported the removal of land restrictions that limited their sovereignty. He also fought against the spread of militarism and argued for the promotion of peace and diplomacy in international relations. Adams's later years were spent in the service of the nation, where his work in the House of Representatives was widely respected. He died on February 23, 1848, while still in office after suffering a stroke in the Capitol building. His death marked the end of a remarkable public career that had spanned more than 5 decades. John Quincy Adams's life was defined by his dedication to public service, his belief in the importance of education and scientific progress, and his firm stance on moral issues such as slavery. As president, his political vision was ahead of its time, though his policies were often stymied by political opposition. After his presidency, Adams's tireless advocacy for the abolition of slavery and his efforts to safeguard civil liberties left an indelible mark on the nation. Though his presidency was not particularly popular, his contributions to American diplomacy, political thought, and human rights made him one of the most influential figures in early American history. His legacy endures through his steadfast commitment to the principles of liberty, equality, and justice.